There's a point when you imagine changing your life, not dramatically, not all at once, and almost immediately your attention moves away from what you want. So instead of thinking about things like logistics or about timing or what's possible for you, first thing you think about is people. Who might be surprised? Who might feel unsettled? Who might quietly wonder why you're changing now? And you probably imagine conversation that hasn't even happened, reactions that haven't even been expressed, and discomfort that hasn't even been named. And before you even finish the thought, something inside you tightens and you start wondering, why does wanting more feels like it could disappoint someone? And it's not because anyone has told you that you couldn't, but because somewhere along the line, somewhere along the way, you learn to scan the room and focus on others first before you listen to yourself. If you're new here, I'm Lorna, and this is a space where we talk honestly about the inner conversations that quietly shapes our choices from moving forward to keeping us stuck, especially those conversations we don't say out loud. Those thoughts that don't sound dramatic enough to bring up, the ones we dismiss because they seem selfish, the ones we carry privately and adjust our lives around. This isn't about bold moves or overnight transformation. It's about noticing the subtle ways we step back from ourselves and our dreams long before anyone else ever asked us to. And this is a story that took me a long time to recognize. Not because it was hidden, but because it felt so familiar that I thought it was just how I am. The moment this became real for me wasn't sparked by a conversation. No one said anything to me at all. It just happened quietly, internally. As soon as I was clear that I wanted to start an online business, I began thinking about small changes I wanted to make. Nothing drastic, nothing that would disrupt anyone's life, just something that felt honest. And as soon as the idea formed, my mind didn't ask, do I want this? Or can I do this? Instead, the question that showed up first was, how will it land? I picture the faces of the people I love, not angry faces, not disapproving ones, just faces that might look confused or surprised or slightly uncomfortable. And I remember thinking, what if this makes them uneasy? Not because I believed they would stop me, but because I wasn't sure I could tolerate being the source of that discomfort. That was one of the first things I had to face. Not fear of failure, not lack of confidence, just the quiet weight of imagined disappointment. What unsettled me was how automatic it was. Before I asked what I needed, I was already managing how others might feel. Before I gave myself permission, I was calculating emotional impact. And I started noticing how often this happened, how quickly my desires softened the moment they brushed up against someone else's comfort. How I often edited myself without realizing it. I wasn't saying anything out loud. I was just postponing, reframing, downplaying, giving myself excuses, and telling myself now isn't the right time, or it's not that important. Now, here is where it got complicated. Part of me believed deeply that being considerate and not wanting to disappoint the people I love was a virtue, that being attuned to others was a strength, that keeping the peace and harmony mattered. And they do. But another part of me, quieter but more persistent, kept asking something else. At what cost? I felt caught between the person who knows how to be reliable, the one who knows how to be accommodating, the one who knows how to make things easier for everyone else, and the version of me who had needs that didn't always fit neatly into that role. The version of me that didn't want to disappear quietly, didn't want to fade away into retirement, And I didn't know how to reconcile those two selves because I didn't want to become selfish, but I also didn't want to keep shrinking. And for a long time, the easier choice was to stay quiet. The shift didn't come from a decision. It came from a question. When I asked myself gently, not defensively, not angrily, just gently, when did prioritizing the need of others mean abandoning myself? I didn't rush to answer it, but the question stayed with me longer than the fear did. I noticed it showed up when I hesitated, when I minimized, when I almost talked myself out of something that mattered. And instead of arguing with it, I let it sit there, unresolved, uncomfortable, but honest. That's when I realized something important. Something that we call loyalty can be a fear of disappointing the people we love. Not because they asked us to shrink, not because they demanded it, but somewhere along the way, we learned that staying safe and staying small meant staying agreeable. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. That realization didn't make me stop caring. What it changed was how I listened to myself. I started noticing the moments when my needs went quiet, when my instincts softened mid-thought, when I felt myself retreat before anyone has reacted. And instead of correcting myself, I paused. I let the thought finish. And I began holding space for both things at once, connection and truth. Some days I did it well. Some days I catch myself late. But I no longer confuse self-abandonment with kindness. Now I leave you with this question. Do you imagine disappointing someone if you changed? This question is not to confront it, not to act on it, or to explain it away, just to notice it. Because awareness doesn't break relationship. It simply brings honesty back into the room. And if this kind of reflection resonates with you, I write a quiet weekly note called the Reinvention Letter. It's not a newsletter in the usual sense. It's a place to slow these moments down, to name the internal shift that doesn't get much airtime, to explore what it really feels like to begin again, gently, honestly, without pressure. You'll find the link below if you'd like to receive it. So until next time, I'm Lorna, and I'll meet you in the next video.